Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2420. Today we're going to talk with a guest who's learned the secret to life, and that is giving back. Something I've learned after so many interviews. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Dallas, Texas, where it's turned a little cool. The summer heat is finally gone with a very special guest by the name of Colin Weatherwax. Colin, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have it in gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Absolutely. It's been a minute since I drove a stick, but I think I can figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's like riding a bike. Once you've done it, you can kind of figure it out. So that's why with both my kids, the first learning lessons in a car were in a stick shift car. I wanted them to have that skill set. And I think during high school, they were the only two kids in their whole high school who could probably drive a stick shift. So it's...
I have something in common with your kids then. My mom told me that my first car had to be a stick, and I kind of cursed at her for making me learn, but now looking back in hindsight, I'm very grateful.
Well, you have to be very mindful when you're driving a car that's a manual. And for young kids, the biggest fear, of course, with parents is they're going to be distracted. And nowadays, I mean, we didn't have cell phones back when I was a kid. There was just the music to distract you. Nowadays, there's too many distractions. So I think it's a healthy thing for kids to learn. Plus, there's a lot you have to think about what the car is actually doing. But sadly, today, there's not a lot of manuals left anymore. It seems like they're all fading away, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. But, one of the things is if you think about the distractions, right? So having a cell phone nowadays, if you have a stick shift, it's really difficult to be on your cell phone and be distracted. So it might be something that we look to go back towards.
I would hope so. I think it's a great idea. So before I introduce you and we get into what you're doing, which is a really wonderful cause, what's one little thing that people don't know about you, Colin?
Oh, that's a great question. So I grew up in Dallas, born and raised, huge sports fan, really, really happy and proud to be a Rangers fan right now. Mavericks fan. Unfortunately, I'm a Vegas Raiders fan, so we're just going to kind of skip over that subject.
Yeah, let's just go the other way.
Yeah, but no, I love sports, love spending time with my family, and, the main reason why I'm here and which we're about to jump into is helping out kids.
Well, you do. Indeed, you do. You and your organization. I think it's spectacular. Let me give you a proper introduction and we'll dive into this and share some ideas on how our listeners can be a part of helping as well. Colin Weatherwax is the Chief Executive Officer at America Can Cars for Kids. It's a nonprofit charity organization operating nationally in all 50 states. They have been changing lives and helping children graduate since 1992. All vehicle donations help kids build a better future by providing them with the tools necessary to be successful. With over 10 years of experience in the nonprofit and auto auction industry, he brings an understanding of the fundamental functions of both operating a 501c3 nonprofit organization and navigating the used car world, all while making a change in youngsters' lives. We'll be learning a lot more about this in a moment, but first a word from our sponsors, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Buckle up. Years ago, when it was time to renew my collector car insurance policy, my carrier's rates went up. Way up, but my usage was the same and I never made a claim. I didn't even have a ticket. So what's with that? So I turned to American Collectors Insurance. Has your collector car insurance recently raised your rates for no good reason? Tired of paying an annual membership fee? Then it's time to look around and call American Collectors Insurance. I shopped around, I asked friends for recommendations, and found a winner that I can trust. And boy, I'm glad I did. I saved hundreds of dollars every year and slept better at night knowing my baby was properly insured. American Collectors Insurance have been protecting vehicles since 1976. They provided me with an agreed value insurance policy backed by their history of taking great care of their clients. What could be better than that? So give them a call and ask for a quote today. 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. And protect the ones you love like I did with American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. For several years now, you've heard me talk about Linkage Magazine. I've been a subscriber since the start. They're talented and creative team brings you a spectacular publication and website that shares the automotive passion from a worldwide perspective. Linkage is about driving, restoring, collecting, and first-hand experience at collector car auctions and more. They bring you real-world values plus rational, experienced opinions on the current markets. They cover the automotive world and the people who share our passions. And Linkage Magazine has grown, mailing you 6 issues annually. Join me on this journey with Linkage. They're geared for the automotive life. You can subscribe at linkagemag.com. So, Colin, Cars for Kids. Now, I want to start off by saying this is not to be confused, and I'm sure this is the angst of everything you do of that, I will say, annoying, now noble cause, but the commercials of Cars for, the number 4 Kids. You're a different organization, so I want to start that off right. Cars FOR Kids, which I think is wonderful. What led up to you getting into this industry? Can you give us a little bit of a background?
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things I like to say is I kind of came into this industry by accident. I think a lot of people, that make it either to be a CEO or into the career that they love and are very passionate about can say probably the same thing. And so, as you mentioned, Cars for Kids, we spell it right, we do it right. It's CARSFORKIDS. I've been with the organization since I was 18. So I came out of high school.
Wow.
I was working in an animal hospital actually, and my girlfriend at the time, she's like, "Hey, why don't you go check out this auction?" And I came and I went to the public auction. I don't know how many auctions you've been to in your lifetime, but as you know, going to a car auction is a huge adrenaline rush.
It'll get you fired up. Yeah, you gotta sit on your wallet, as I say.
Yeah. Well, luckily I was 18, so I didn't really have that big of a wallet.
Yeah, that's another way to do it.
It's very infectious whenever you walk into an auction and you see everything that's happening. And, it's a huge sensory overload. And it's really exciting. I was able to work in an auction that first week, and I started to work with the company then. And basically what I did is the vehicles that are donated to us, I was cleaning out those cars. I was taking pictures of those cars. I was kind of just running around the lot, just kind of doing inventory, right? And so from there, I was blessed to kind of ask questions and learn a lot about the organization. Moved into the call center where I was answering the phones for the donors. Then went to the title department, the consignment department, and eventually kind of worked in every department before I escalated to the CEO about 1.5 years ago.
Wow. Well, it's fantastic. Most of the car auctions I've been to, in fact, all of them have been collector car auctions, which are very different than what we're talking about here. And I'll tell you something, I've always growing up, tried to get my daughter and my wife into cars. They're just not into it. My son, pretty much so. Not quite as crazy as I am. And I took them to Monterey Car Week, and I said, "Hey, we're going to go to an auction tonight." And they kind of rolled their eyes, and I said, "I think you might find this fun." I couldn't get them to leave. I'm like, "Hey, we got to get up early tomorrow. There's a Concours." No, let's stay on. They were it's kind of like watching people play high stakes poker or baccarat or something. You're just watching. They're like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible." But you add the flair and the joy of cars. So talk more about Cars for Kids, because it is really what it is. The name relates to what you do, but there's much more depth that goes on here. So while you explain not only the benefits that you create for kids, also how people can contribute their cars. And I was sent a picture of you that's going to be on your show notes page of a very nice Maserati. And I love your helper there, David at RLM Public Relations. And thank you, David, for connecting me with Colin. He said, make sure you say this isn't his car. This is a donated car, which I understand the concept here because, when we donate things to companies, there's this kind of weird thing that goes, is the money really going to the cause, or is it just supporting the guy who's driving the Rolls Royce? And, there's always that. So I'd love for you to talk more in depth about Cars for Kids, how you work, how the money is flowing into helping young people. It's a really awesome thing that you're doing.
Yeah, it's a great question. Like you said, we just were blessed enough to receive a Maserati donation, and we get cars from all walks of life, just like we get kids from all walks of life that are looking for a second chance or maybe even a first chance. And what does that look like? So for over 40 years, we've been supporting our main beneficiary here in Texas, which is the Texans Can Academies. They focus on high school dropouts or kids that just didn't work in the public school system for whatever reason. These are not necessarily bad kids. These are just kids that need a little bit of help. And so they come to the Texans Can Academies and they get that second chance at their high school diploma. So that way they can become living, working, really influential people in our community that we live and work in. And so just giving them that opportunity that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And so over the past few years, we've actually expanded our footprint and we've expanded our giving and our beneficiaries to include the YMCA, which we're really excited about that partnership, going to support kids with a summer learning academy and a safety around water course, which are very, very crucial in the lives of young kids. And we've also expanded to the state of California, where we're supporting the San Diego Center for Children, which has been around for 136 years, supporting kids and their mental health struggles that they're having, which is more prominent now than it ever has been, but it also goes to help them and their families. And so with all that said, we're looking to expand not only in the great state of Washington, but all 50 states. And we're wanting to give back to all the kids that truly need it.
I think it's wonderful. And you're right. You know, the school systems, while in many cases are wonderful, they don't work for everybody. It's the same I've heard from a lot of kids that do graduate high school, but then college is just not where they need to be. They might have other skill sets or other interests, and the structures of schools these days in many ways don't work for some kids. I've had lots of guests on the show that when they were growing up had either dyslexia or ADHD or all these types of afflictions that in the past we didn't really know what they were. And we all grew up with kids in the classroom that were disruptive, let's call it that. And we just thought, oh, they're just troublemakers. Oh, he raises his hand.
That was me.
And you know, and I used to sit there and go, why is that kid acting the way he did? Well, if you look back now with what we know, attention deficit. He just couldn't focus that way. And I think even for myself, there's things that I now understand what frustrated me about school that I didn't know at the time. And now I know with my personality or my crazy head or whatever it might be. So how do you put this money into the hands of either kids or people? How does the money flow? And let's start with where it comes from. So if I have a vehicle and I would like to donate it, whether it's a Maserati or maybe it's kind of an old daily beater, and I think, you know, instead of just selling this or giving it off to somebody, let's make it do something nice. How does the whole thing work?
Yeah, listen, we take vehicles in any condition, running or not. Like you said, the Maserati that's pictured on this show, that's one of the types of vehicles that we get. But in all honesty, we get, you know, anything from 1980 Ford Pinto without a motor all the way up to that Maserati. And so basically, you just go to our website at carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org. The process is super easy, super simple. We try and not only remove these obstacles for the kids that we support, we also try and remove obstacles and kind of the stress with giving away a vehicle, because it should be easy, right? We want to make sure that you, Mark, if you're donating a vehicle to us, we want to make sure that experience is joyful for you. We want to work around your schedule, make sure that we pick up that vehicle whenever it's right for you. You know, especially whenever it's a vehicle that's been in your family for 20, 30 years. We don't want to show up in the middle of the night, pick it up, and you wake up and you're like, oh, well, there goes my baby.
Yeah.
You know, we want to work around your schedule. We'll also work with the title paperwork. So, you know, if you've had a vehicle for 20, 30 years, you probably have lost the title. Look, people move. I just got done moving. I'm missing so many things right now. And so we work with you to try and figure out, okay, how can we help you get a title? And so, you know, after that vehicle's picked up, we then in turn sell it in auction. And then 100% of the net proceeds that we get from the sale of that vehicle, we turn around and give to the kids that we support.
Awesome. I think it's great. When I lost my dad about 6 years ago, he had several vehicles. And yeah, we went through that. I could not find the titles. And he was in California. And the way California was set up, they were going to make it very expensive because of it getting new. You know, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Well, thankfully, in a box that was buried deep in a 100 other boxes. There was one folder and it was written in red, important. And
Important.
yeah, and I opened it up and there's a letter and he said, well, kids, if you found this, I croaked. And gives you a little bit of the humor that my father had. And he had 4 vehicles. None of them were really special like collector cars. We didn't find that Ferrari GTO that I could have sworn he had all his life was tucked away in a garage somewhere. But he did have a really nice truck. And he said, I would like to donate this truck, if you kids would oblige me, to a gentleman who's helped me throughout the years. He could really use the help. He's got 5 kids. He doesn't have a lot of money. A truck would make a big change. It was a beautiful, rather new Toyota Tundra, I believe it was. And so we gave that truck to him. I found out about the gifting option on a title, which was great. So he didn't have to pay taxes on it that he probably couldn't afford. And we were able to give it away and change some of these lives. But what you do is you make it easy for people if they don't have a particular person in their lives to, you just come and take care of everything. And it's interesting that your history of all learning all these little aspects now has come to fruition, or for a while has come to fruition for you. So I think it's absolutely spectacular what you do. Is there any way to count all the kids that you've helped over time?
It's a great question. I've been blessed in my career here to be able to attend some of the high school graduations, to be able to attend some of the partner programs that we've supported, and see with my own eyes the kids that have been impacted by just vehicle donations. And, one of the things that we are very cognizant of is sharing those stories, because it's so impactful. It's so rewarding, especially from someone that's donating a vehicle. If they're donating a vehicle, they're not looking for money. They're not looking for recognition. They're looking to truly make a difference. And so how we show that difference is by sharing these experiences, right? And so when you think about it, just over this past summer with the YMCA partnership that we had, it benefited over 5,500 kids.
What?
And what does that mean?
Oh
yes, absolutely. Just this past summer. And that's for the Summer Learning Academy, which is helping these kids kind of bridge that gap between going to school during the regular school year and having summer. Because some kids, they can't be off for 3 months and go back and expect to jump right back in, right? And speaking of jumping right back in, safety around watercourse. The number 2 leading cause of death in infants in the U.S. is drowning.
Yep.
And so if we can partner with the YMCA to teach these kids how to swim, how to have a basic necessity for life, not only are they going to be more successful, but they're going to have a better future, because quite frankly, there will be a future because they have that basic life skill. And so there's really no way to quantify how many kids we've actually helped. Again, we're truly blessed to be able to see the difference that it's making. And we want to be able to show that to our donors whenever you donate a vehicle to us.
I would assume also there is a benefit, a tax benefit perhaps, for people that donate cars. And many times when we donate, I hope most people aren't looking for some reason to donate that benefits them other than the gratifying feeling. However, there is a tax benefit, right?
Absolutely. So whenever you donate a vehicle, the IRS allows you to claim what we sell that vehicle for. It's a really, really cool benefit. And, I'll be honest, there's hundreds of vehicle donation charities out there. And so what we try and do is we try and stray away from the pack. We try and show you that, hey, these are the kids that you're affecting, first of all, right? We also give you that full tax write-off, the 1098C tax form that we email to you. And then we also offer a $50 Visa gift card. We've actually changed it from a Visa gift card to a gift card of your choice. We've partnered with Tremendous. That's the name of the platform. And basically it'll text you a link and say, hey, here's your gift card for donating your vehicle to us. And you can go in and you can choose, hey, I want an Amazon gift card. I want a restaurant gift card, a clothing store gift card. It's really awesome. And it personalizes the experience, right? Obviously, whenever you're donating a vehicle, that's not what you're looking for. You're not looking for, an incentive. But when that is an option, it's really nice to have.
Little icing on the cake, if you will. So I usually ask people about a driving inspiration, somebody who is a mentor or very influential in their lives. In many ways, Colin, you are that guy. You are the mentor. I mean, having worked in this for so long, but is there somebody that perhaps in your past gave you the concept, the incentive of helping people? Because after interviewing over 2,400 people, many people ask me the question, what have you learned? And the number one thing I've learned is that we are happiest when we are helping people. Whether you realize it or not, some people realize it very early in life because they grow up in a family that teaches the idea of giving. Many people don't learn until later in life, and I've had many guests who've told tremendous stories about that, life is not about me, it's about others, and that's how I can be happy. How has that worked for you as far as influential people?
It's a great question, and I'll be honest with you. I've always had a servant's heart. I never knew that until I became an adult, because I thought that's just how everyone worked. And obviously, as I've matured, I see that that's not how the world works, unfortunately. But I've always been, about other people's happiness more than myself. And so that's kind of led me to this role, right? But as far as mentors, the former CEO that kind of brought me in and put me under his wing, unfortunately, he passed away in April of 2022. And that's kind of how I escalated to the role. But he was a fantastic mentor for me. I worked with him for 11 years, and he showed me what it meant to truly give back. And whenever you're running an organization like this, obviously there's nuances, right? You have employees' feelings, you have, vendors, there's et cetera, et cetera. You can go down the list. But at the end of the day, what we do, any decision that I make has to be in the interest of what we support, right? It has to be in the interest of the kids. And so the vehicle donations is quote unquote the vehicle for how we generate those funds. But everything that we do day in and day out has to be forefront of mind as the kids that we're going to support.
I love this. It goes back to something I learned a long time ago from Simon Sinek, discovering your why. And many times when I've helped other people or tried to be a mentor to other people who are struggling, I always ask them the question, when you started this, why did you start it? What's your focus? What's your main goal? And lots of times people start to wander away from that. I think that's why companies, I remember way back creating company vision missions and putting that somewhere where people that work in the company can read it, so that whenever they start to stray away and you need to help guide them back down the path, you bring them back to that and say, this is our mission. So helping young kids. So is what we're doing or what you're doing going to achieve that, or have you strayed off that course? I think that's a tremendous way to approach it. So discovering your why, for those of you who've heard me talk about Simon Sinek before, you know what I mean. But if you haven't followed him, you can find a great TED Talk with Simon, his book, and his teachings.
Yeah, the mission statement is very critical here. And it's one of the things that I learned rather quickly as I was promoted to CEO is making sure that everyone in the organization not only knows what it is, but kind of truly believes it, right? And so what our mission is we solicit car donations. That's what we do. But it's to help kids graduate, to give them an opportunity to build a better future. So everything that we do has to fall within those lines. And it's a truly powerful mission statement. We're really proud to say that that's what we're here for. And as long as we're doing everything in order to achieve that goal, we're doing something right.
Well, you are enabling young people to be self-sufficient. Enabling anyone to be self-sufficient, I think, is key because it makes them feel so good about themselves. And I always say that, when we have let's say a nation where there aren't jobs, aren't opportunities, and you look at countries around the world that are really challenged, usually it's because there aren't opportunities for anybody. There are no jobs. And that is just the most horrible thing. And I think the kid living in the basement when he's 30 is a good example of that. They don't feel so good about themselves. They may think life's easy, but I don't think they feel that good about themselves. So you enable people to feel good about themselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. And, it is unfortunate that some of the kids, like you said, 30-year-old in the basement. But one of the things that we truly pride ourselves on is something that we kind of talked on earlier in the show is, kids come to us to get a second chance at their high school diploma, right? That high school diploma is so critical in order to get into a workforce, right? But just because they get that diploma doesn't mean they're going to go on to college. Doesn't mean that they're going to go on to the military. So what we try and do is we try and give them an avenue, give them something that could kind of get them in the door that otherwise they wouldn't have. And so one of the newest programs that we're supporting is these OSHA certifications, Microsoft Office certifications. They're giving these kids avenues to kind of build their career, right? Get their foot in the door at a company that, shows, hey, I'm certified in what you're looking for. And so it's truly that goes to make a difference in bettering their future.
Well, that high school diploma is that mark that reminds you, I've done it. I worked hard and I achieved this. It's really important. I think just more so than just the paper, it's the value in the child's head. That they got through something, and despite what their challenges are. So it's wonderful. Challenges. Speaking of challenges, I like people to share a challenge that taught them a really valuable lesson. Might have been super painful, but it taught them a really good lesson. I assume you probably had a few of those. All successful people have. Is there one you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. So probably about 3 or 4 years in working with the company, we were partnering with TitleMax, title loan company. And we had received a vehicle. And basically the process was we get the car. The TitleMax tells us when we can sell it or if the owner is going to come pick it up, right? And so I was running late for work that morning. I got a phone call from the office saying, hey, this guy's here to pick up their car. And I was like, oh, does he have proof that he paid it off? And they're like, no. I was like, okay, send him back to the store. He can come back with proof, right? And so later on that day, he comes back and I don't verify with the store that he paid because we had already told him what to do, right? So I give him the car and I call TitleMax and they're like, you did what? And I was like, did he not come by? And they're like, nope. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a very valuable lesson that I've learned. So always get a proof or receipt or something, double check, validate, the basic concepts. It was a very tough lesson, as you mentioned, but it's something that has stuck with me for sure.
Oh, yeah. That would. Yeah, absolutely. Verify. Yeah, trust but verify. those great old words. Is there a special vehicle in your life? Would you call yourself a car guy?
It's really funny. I have a lot of people that work in the company that are car enthusiasts like yourself, right? What I see whenever I see a vehicle is dollar
opportunity.
signs. I mean,
you're like a car salesman. I had a friend growing up whose dad sold really cool cars. And I remember he said to me, which was so foreign, he goes, look, a vehicle is just an end to a means for me, is how can I get it sold? And I'm like, well, right. A vehicle is just how can I get it in my garage? Right.
Yeah. Luckily, I haven't had that issue because I would need probably, an acre of land to store all the vehicles that I would be interested in that we've gotten in. But, I will say I'm attached to my vehicle. I have a Dodge Ram pickup, 2021. It's lifted. It's red. I'm a big fan of a red. Red's my favorite color. It definitely stands out in the crowd. And I love it. But other than that, whenever we get a really nice car in, it is like you say, I see opportunity.
Well, that's what you're all about. So there you go, walking your talk. So I'm a bit of a car psychologist. This might be an interesting question for you. If you were a vehicle, manifest, reincarnated as a vehicle, not what you want to be though, that's a little bit too easy. What would you be, but more importantly, why?
It's interesting. The vehicle that I have right now, I think really fits my personality, right? So it's big. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", 250. So I kind of stand out in the crowd. And whenever I come into a room, people just kind of like, oh, okay, he's here. And so I stick out in the crowd. And one of the things I love about my truck is that whenever I'm on the highway, people tend to move out of my way.
No kidding.
It's interesting.
I'm one of them. I drive small sports cars. The truck's coming up on me. I'm like, give them some room.
So it's funny. I always thought that was the case, and it didn't really sink in until my fiance drove my truck. And so to give you perspective, my truck is probably about 7 feet tall. It's lifted. It's got the mud tires. It's red. And my fiance is about 5'3".
Okay.
And so she got in.
She needs a ladder to get in.
She was driving it and she's like, it's truly incredible how much people actually move out of your way. And I was like, I know, it's great, right? And so, it never really sank in until she actually drove it and then gave me that feedback.
This summer we were on a trip for my niece's wedding and the rental car company upgraded me. They were being very nice and ended up getting a Cadillac Escalade because we had to haul a lot of people around. I didn't like it at all because I'm used to small cars. I mean, parking the thing was like, I don't even know where the corners of this vehicle are. But yeah, you'd come up on somebody, everybody get out of your way with that thing. Maybe they thought it was the Kardashians coming through. I don't know. It was a little bit too ostentatious for me. But my next door neighbor drives a really nice Ford Raptor. And he's let me drive that thing. And yeah, when you drive that thing down the freeway, people just kind of move over,
Yes.
Very, very cool. Now, I always ask how people like to give back. We've talked about this the whole show. Again, I'll remind people, Cars for, F-O-R, Kids, KIDS.org. That's how you can learn more about them. You can give them a call, donate a car, or if you just want to donate to them, you take money too, right?
Absolutely. Just like any great organization, we are open for cash donations. We understand that people might not have a vehicle to donate, and so we want to give you that avenue to still support the cause if you're interested.
Do you also take motorcycles and boats?
Absolutely. We take motorcycles, boats, RVs, box trucks. I think we got a golf cart in the other day.
A golf cart. Okay.
Oh yeah, we take just about anything.
If it rolls, floats, and I got to ask, how about airplanes?
Airplanes. We've actually had an airplane. It was before my time. I can assume that the towing on that alone would probably be a little crazy. I'll tell you what, if you have an airplane to donate to us and you're listening to this show, Colin asked to speak to me. I definitely am interested in trying to figure out the logistics, and I'm not going to say no. I'll always try everything once or twice, right?
Right. Absolutely. How about great reading? Is there a book you could share with our listeners?
Oh, that's a great question. The 10-year-old in me wants to say Harry Potter,
Okay.
but I think I'm gonna go off of that one. I actually just read a really good book. It's by Patrick Lencioni, called The 5 Temptations of a CEO. And so that book actually, it taught me a lot because, as a CEO, there are things that you're faced with every day. You have to make a lot of decisions on the fly. Yep. And sometimes, as you hear the cliche, it's really lonely at the top. I'm blessed to have a really good team around me to where it's really not that lonely. But that being said, it was a really enlightening read because I was able to kind of see that there's other people out there like me that struggle with these basic decisions that I have to make every day. And so it was a really impactful book that I kind of just stumbled upon. And so it really changed my perspective on, okay, it's not just me against the world. There's a lot of people out there. There's a huge support system for CEOs.
Beware shiny objects, as they say. There you go. Yeah, nothing's easy. How about the ultimate drive, which is something I like to enable people to do? I'm going to put you in any car. This is a car that, let's change it up a little bit. You can go and have fun with. You can take anybody with you, including somebody from the past that's no longer with us, which would be interesting. And you can be driving anywhere. But I'm going to add this to you. At the end, you can donate the car, raise some money, sell it, and put it towards your cause. So that could change your opinion because it's all about raising money. So I have a feeling I'm going to be parking an expensive car in your driveway today.
This is a great exercise. So my fiance actually has a Mazda Miata, 2009. She had it through college and through her grad school. And I actually, for her birthday, which was last month, I had it fixed up. I'd been sitting in her garage for a little bit. And so we were able to take that for a joyride a couple of weeks ago for her birthday. And so I would say that vehicle, a stick shift, little car. Whenever I first started driving, I had a little truck, and then I had one of those little Honda CRZ hybrids. It's a lot of fun to zip around in. And so I would say me and my fiance in a Mazda Miata, driving the coastline either in Pacific Northwest where you're at, or the coastline from LA to Santa Monica. And then once we're done with that joyride, we'll give Cars for Kids a call and say, hey, this is the vehicle that's next in line to be donated.
Nice thought. I love it. Great. So you've taken us on a wonderful ride today, and the cause and what you're doing, I'm so happy that we were able to connect. Again, I want to do a shout out thank you to David Berizin at RLM Public Relations there in New York City for putting us together. So David, thank you for bringing a great cause to Cars Yes, so my listeners can think about this and think about another alternative. If they have a car they want to get rid of, there's a great way to help people versus the hassles of selling a car. You guys make it super, super easy. Before I let you go, though, could you leave us with some parting words of wisdom or inspiration?
Oh, wisdom. That's a big ask. This whole show you hadn't asked me for
you're way too humble.
No, I mean, so for me, like I said, whenever I was 18, I came here working, just cleaning out cars. And one of the things that, to this day, I don't take for granted is everyone that works within the company. I truly believe that everyone that works here is here for the greater good. And I would not ask anybody that works for me to do something that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. And that's to this day. So if I need to go sweep, if I need to go mop, if I need to answer the phone and take a donation, I'm happy to do it, because I know that regardless of if I'm on a podcast with you, Mark, or if I'm taking a donation, the end goal is trying to get that donation and trying to help these kids, right? And so the last parting thing that I want to leave it with is our motto, our trademark. It's right off the car, not the kid.
Ah, I love it. That's awesome. Again, this is Cars for Kids, CARSFOR. KIDS.org. Check them out. It is the holiday season. End of the year is coming up pretty quick. We're already in November. What happened to 2023? This is pretty frightening, but end of the year, you got tax considerations to think about. So there's another opportunity for you. So check them out. Cars for Kids. Colin, thank you for being so generous today with not only what you do, but with your time to share it with the Cars Yeah audience. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. If you're listening to this program, there's a pretty good chance you believe what I believe, that the collector vehicles we love are more than just a means of getting from one place to the other. They're a part of our culture, our identity, and as a people, they bring us together at vintage races, classic car auctions, and 1,000-mile rallies. That's why I support the RPM Foundation, which exists to ensure that the critical skills necessary to preserve and restore these important vehicles aren't lost to time. RPM stands for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, and their goal is to inspire the next generation of vehicle restoration professionals through its outreach programs. And they include Shop Hop, Off to the Races, the RPM Future Class, and many others. These programs engage talented young people across the country and connect them with mentors and a variety of opportunities in the industry. For more information on how the RPM Foundation is driving the future of collector vehicles skill trade, visit rpm.foundation today.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.